Hey, how we doing? How are we doing? There we go. That's a little bit better. So we are going to host a talk back. We all sat through this wonderful movie. Is this your first Boots Riley experience?
Yeah.
Who? Put your hands up. Okay, so listen, if you haven't picked up what he was putting down, this man is an anti-capitalist in the best way possible. And you experience that through the lens of Afro-surrealism. If you don't know what it is, go ahead and Google that, right? And while you're Googling and pulling that definition, I'm going to have our panelists introduce themselves. Their resumes are long. We don't need a long bio. We just need to know your name, what you do, and I mean, yeah, that's it. We'll go from there.
What's going on? What's going on? My name is Will White. I'm a fashion designer, illustrator, event producer, and visual artist doing this thing in Charlotte.
Hi everyone, my name is Shekinah Williams. I go by Kinah, and I am a designer and curator.
Hello everyone, I'm Jamie Lykes II, aka J. Lamar. I am a designer, artistic creator, stylist, and I would describe myself as apostolic renaissance.
Okay, great. So we have a panel full of designers, and I think I just want to start by maybe getting to the core of our character. Corvette, she's a designer. She is a booster. In what ways do you feel that you relate to her character?
I feel like boosting culture is really just kind of taking what you have access to and creating a means for yourself out of it. And I feel like myself growing up as a designer who is self-taught, who, wasn't given a lot of graces in a lot of my situations. Like I really, a lot of the things that I do a lot of cross mixing of patterns. I do that because I did it out of necessity. I couldn't afford yards of fabric. So I was just like, okay, what scraps can I get my hands on and what can I make cool? And I feel like that kind of propelled how I approach fashion, which I think her and her boosting and her whole team, like it kind of propelled how they viewed fashion. And so that's why she was able to create these very forward pushing designs that then got stolen by the higher ups. And I feel like when you start from a need, there's always gonna be some beauty that comes from that.
Shekinah?
I mean, he said a lot. I feel the same way. And as someone that did work retail in the beginning, it's like I think my humble beginning was seeing the product not meet the quality of its worth. And that's what got me into wanting to design my own thing, because I was like, we're paying for scraps. And if we're gonna pay for scraps, then let me create something better, because there's a need for more and there's a need for quality opposed to quantity. And that was the whole thing, was the quantity of the amounts of stores that she had in each color. So
I know when we were talking earlier, you brought up the trope, or maybe it's not even a trope, but the relationship between being a designer and loneliness. Do you want to elaborate on that?
For sure, I feel like that's something a lot of people kind of look past as far as being a designer. They feel like designers are kind of always in the limelight. They have to be sociable people, that they don't really get lonely. They have friends, and I'm grateful for my friends. And that's the thing in the movie that kind of overshadowed the fact that she was lonely, because she had all those friends that even when she projected that she was lonely, they were like, well, why are you lonely? Because we're here. It's so possible to be in a space where, and I worked in retail as well, where you can be around fashion, surrounded by fashionable people, always influenced, but still feel that air of loneliness. From the aspect of even being like artistically, creatively drained, not feeling fulfilled, and just not knowing what's next. And that's kind of a hardest part of being a designer entrepreneur as well, especially when you do custom work and you're not always doing shows, you're not always creating what you want to create. A lot of what you're creating are what people want from you, and in doing that, it can be exhausting, it can be draining, and it draws away from that the space to create how you feel free to create, and just natural loneliness. Like nobody's with you when you're behind the table sewing, blood, sweat, and tears. All three, by the way. Not one of the, all three consecutively in a row. And it can be a lonely place, because we all experience those things. We all experience them differently, and they affect us in a different way. So I really could relate to that in the movie, when she kind of still had that loneliness throughout the movie, but then at the end, when she came to that mountain that was so big, I looked at that as her mountain of like overwhelmingness. Like that was just everything she dealt with as a designer, the loneliness, the wanting money, needing things, everything. And then it just got smaller and smaller and smaller because she realized they were all working toward the same goal. And that was the beautiful part. That was long, but yes.
I mean, listen, it was the right answer. So one of the jumping off points for this story was essentially somebody stole our piece, somebody stole our shit, right? As a designer, have any of you seen your shit on somebody else's runway or website?
I won't say stolen. I will say though, I created a piece in school that was a skirt, and the way that the skirt was created, it was like this super cute petaled fabric that I had dyed pink. I put a green underlayer underneath it so that it would come out like have little pieces of green. And then I want to say 3 years later when Shein got big, I was scrolling their site and I said, oh, that looks exactly like something that's already in my phone. So I do think that our phones are watching the things that we do. Because I did post it on social media, but it was so far ago that I think I had taken it down, so I didn't think anything of it, but it was still in my phone. And I literally screenshot it. For a long time, I had the screenshot of it side by side, and I was like, no, I'm not crazy. I wasn't crazy, no.
Well, if y'all want to buckle up, all right? Okay. There was a time I had quit sewing for a long while, right? And then I came back because it was like this visceral desire to create. And so I came back, it was 2009 by the time I came back. Started sewing, was super inspired by like samurai and armor. I started doing all this detailing that I called beetle detailing, because it was like the shells of a beetle. 2 years later, guess who popping up with a beetle detail except for Olivier over at Balmain. Now mind you, I understand, I'm just me, right? But one of the things that they taught us in school is that fashion is cyclical and that it's always revolving. And one of the things I learned growing up is there's nothing new under the sun. So intellectual property in the vein of fashion and how there are little pockets of inspiration that happen all over the world. I mean, there is a very real, like, kind of epidemic of theft of exact designs. Like, just like how Shekinah was just talking about, like, Shein is out here, like, plotting on, like, local small designers for real, right? But then you also have these moments that it's like, dang, I gotta work harder because somebody in a different position had the same idea a couple months maybe after me or maybe at the same time, and I didn't have that opportunity to be the face of it. But it's very interesting, and if you can prove that thing, sometimes you can get the money, and then now with social media's like footprint in the world, sometimes you can get that acclaim from it, and it can really kickstart your career.
How do you, and you can answer this, how do you feel that this idea of IP and fashion being like this circular cycle fits into the theme of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis?
I'm gonna back up to that question. I'm gonna try to lead into that. I worked in luxury retail for 5 years as a client advisor, and I won't say the specific artist, but it is a musical artist.
You got an NDA?
No, but I don't want to put anyone's business out
He
there.
the classy one.
Okay.
Not too much. But they did come in to shop, and we ended up having a very nice conversation about me being a designer XYZ. I had a dress there at the store I was working on my personal time. And they were like, oh, well, let me see, I want to see it. I showed the person the dress, like, oh, I think I want to wear this at my next awards. Got me in touch with their stylist. The stylist asked me to send pictures of said outfit. I sent the pictures, I never heard back from them. About a week later, I seen them on the red carpet with the same silhouette. They switched up, granted they did switch up, you know, they couldn't take my fabric, but it was the same silhouette. And that was a situation that was like, okay, I know not to do that anymore. Even if it's somewhere you feel like could take you to a good opportunity, to not do things like that, like send pictures and whatnot. But I'm gonna let you take that question. You just asked.
Well, I guess in the vein of like the intellectual property aspect of it, it's like you really wanna, I mean, you have two parts that create something new, just like how they were talking about in the film, right? You have the synthesis and the antithesis, and you are all kind of inspired by the same things, because in fashion school, even as a fashion merchandising major myself, I studied the business side of school, but you have to touch on the major points of like historical fashion referencing, and really we're all kind of working out of the same wells. So it could be very easy to then synthesize that into an idea that looks the same exact idea as somebody who's also designing on another part of the world. And so with that, I feel like that's why the reins are so loose when it comes to IP and fashion, because it's hard to prove, you know, unless it's literally like, I sent you this email with this documentation, with this image that like legally safeguarded me in the fine print of it. In no way, and they're gonna hide all around that. And usually their lawyers are much stronger than you as a sole person are, and you'll never see that back. So you just gotta chop it up and try to make something new again. Synthesize something new.
Okay, y'all can clap. That was a very collegiate answer.
Not y'all getting bullied in the comments.
Yeah. There's a lot of academia up here. Respect that. Okay, so let's have some fun. Let's have some lowbrow fun. Okay, when it comes to the designer metros, number one, which one was your favorite chromatic theme?
The green. Oh, the green.
That yellow was doing something to me. Like, especially what I really loved about everything was like, even the hair was like aligning with the clothes, because it's always got to be a full vibe, you know. And like that hair, kind of, I know you see it, like, you know what I'm saying, the highlights, the lowlights, it was doing something to me.
You know how like underneath this is blue hair, by the way. Yeah.
Okay, so Shekinah, which one was your favorite, even though you in here with turquoise on?
Okay, even though I'm in here with turquoise, as I said, blue is my favorite, but I will say that little splash of fuchsia, the fuchsia store was actually low-key my favorite. I think because we saw so much of the green and we saw so much of the yellow, that it was nice to see them go into the other stores to see the color palettes of the other stores that she had as well.
Okay, theoretically, if we were in South Park Mall, which store in South Park would be the metro designer?
Let you answer them.
Audience, if you want to tell us which.
I was trying to say, like, they would have to have color first.
Clock it. But yeah, we'll let you answer that.
I hate to say it, but I would start with aloe.
Oh.
Aloe is very monochromatic, and they're very seasonal. When they change to update the new pieces, the whole store changes, I feel like. And if the whole store doesn't change, they change the layout to make it feel like it's just very muted. To flip that coin, the one store I would not say is Anthropology. I feel like they do a great job at merchandising and switching up the color palettes and things like that. But it's also the other store, I can't put my finger on it, it's the ladies store.
The black and white.
Aritzia?
Aritzia!
There we go.
There we go!
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yes! Aritzia. They are also very monochromatic. They could be a metro store for sure.
I second both of those.
Okay, so I'm just going to assume all three of you have worked retail. Do we have any manager horror stories? I mean, we saw one, but I know it can always get worse.
Listen, so I got kind of like a flip on that story, right? Our managers were very much so like the higher ups want this from you. My first job was the Gap outlet, and it was in Concord Mills, and it's gone now. So to hell you go, okay? Anyway, but
nobody like working at the Gap, man.
But listen,
Kanye hated it. You hated it. I've seen the trend.
It's monstrous, man. Like every day you go in there, like you are policed from the second you hit the door. They want you on your markers. They want you engaging with customers who don't want to engage with you. So at one point, you kind of find yourself like hiding in places, like so that your boss can't see what you got going on. The breaks are kind of non-existent. Like they put you on break late and they're like, oh, sorry, like I need you back on the floor because we need X, Y, and Z. It's like, yeah, but OSHA, okay? Anyway, I had a homegirl though who was fed up. And this homegirl said like she had the right person say the wrong thing to her at the right time. And mid-shift, she walked out. My girl walked past the jean wall, pulled every jean down off the wall, and gave everybody in that store her ass, including us, but we were all cheering her on because I made sure I was in the fitting room, so it didn't matter to me, I wasn't cleaning it back up. But that manager had to deal with the rest of it, and I think sometimes it's beautiful when you see somebody who is also as downtrodden as you are, really take their power back in a way that says, you know what, I got something else out here for me, and it don't have to be you.
Telling Jamie that any store that did be dirty, it does not exist anymore, and that's on God. He don't play by his chosen. But I will say, like, I worked BB, and that was an experience in itself because I'm very much an individual, and it like how they wanted them to wear the clothing, and also was taking it out of their check. And I was constantly met with the demand of, you're not fitting our motto. And all the girls that worked there had this love and hip hop idea of life. So it was like they're made up, they got on they're wearing the clothing, they're like living the brand. And I'm like, I can't compute that. This isn't me. And I think my biggest thing was, I had great managers there until it wasn't, and the transition over were people that ate, breathed, and believed in the brand way too much for me. And one day me and the manager got into it because she was like, you know, you could just look better, you could be a better person, and you can, you know, you could style yourself more and do more. And I was like, girl, I'm in school to be the brand that you work for. So that, and that was also the day that I quit. So. And they were very monochromatic. Like that color change in BB is always like, oh, pink, purple, blue, orange. It was just like that, and that's what that reminded me of, to be honest. So.
That's real. I don't want to disclose the exact store I worked for, but it was in South Park Mall, and it was a luxury designer store. It was not Nordstrom. That should give you everything you need to know. So,
Lay it out, baby.
I no longer work for that retailer.
I know that's right.
However, the store manager had a very bad habit of anytime they wanted to talk to you, they would get right here. I mean, like right and it would just be really bad because most of the times their breath was not friendly. And it was one time I could never forget, she cornered me. And it was probably like after a week that she tried to call me out for going to get coffee because there was not enough coverage on the floor. And if we were so busy, there was no one in the store to shop at that moment. And if five of my coworkers going before, I was okay to get coffee. Either way, she cornered me to tell me a story about how her dad was in the hospital, this, that, and the other. And in that moment, you know, you want to have sympathy for people. So of course I had sympathy. She starts bawling, crying. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm there for her. I'm holding her. I'm consoling her. I'm doing what my Heavenly Father wants me to do. And after she finishes, I start to try to be like, oh, well, let me be vulnerable and tell you how my mom is actually also in the hospital. So she's like, oh, okay, walks away. Yeah, I learned how to navigate that space with her, and on my last day of work, she never said a word to me. So, you know, it shows you that these places really do not care about you, and you are rehireable just like you were hireable. So yeah, I'm glad I made it out alive.
I was gonna say that and the checks.
And
The checks don't never add up.
The
checks never add up. That whole, like, I feel like all of us have worked retail during holidays, and they always make it like it's a big thing. You're gonna make money off of this.
No.
You're gonna eat off of the holiday money you're making. You're working a almost 12-hour shift and you not making. Okay, you're not making squat. It's not adding up. And then you're like literally like, I miss the holidays with my family for this.
for this. Worked a whole hour for a caramel macchiato.
Minimum wage really becomes a doozy when you compare how much you're making to a bag of Doritos at Harris Teeter.
Yes.
Is my time really worth a party-sized bag of Tostitos? It's really not. At the core of this film, we are exploring and really like dissecting what workers' rights look like. Essentially, the end of this film is people accelerating things to the point where protests happen. I feel like we're currently living under a regime of Christie's. They believe that humanity is the art, i.e. is the product. Does anybody else want to dive into that? Are there any other things that you picked up in this film that you feel are very pertinent to this exact moment in time that we seem to be fighting through?
I agree. I think the really beautiful thing at the end was just seeing the different kind of pockets of worker unite together in one regard, because realistically, the demon that you're fighting at the top of it is consumerism and greed. You know what I'm saying? From people who would never give you the things that you need to be able to survive, but they just want to keep surviving for themselves in their own little posses. And I think sometimes it's got to take that cross-pollination to make any true change happen. And I think what we saw for most of the movie is like a lot of the hits weren't landing because it wasn't hot enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not until you really get serious about committing to yourself and your health and the safety of your family members that you can see true change happen. And it really is going to take the unification of every walk of that experience. And I think we starting to get mad enough to where we start, you know, pushing back a little bit more. Like, I see it every so often, but I think it's just gonna take people like thinking that they matter enough to see that change.
I like that you brought up demons specifically. Does anybody on the panel have any tips on how to avoid a Lakeith Stanfield?
Listen.
How do you resist the soul-sucking demons?
Soul-sucking temptation.
I just felt like I felt like that was a lesson for all of us. Because there's always going to be somebody that comes out of nowhere and you feel like you need that, don't you? They don't need that and you don't need that. And that person they are going to seem like everything you need in that moment, everything you want. They're going to have the look, the everything. They will even feel like they might help you along the way. You might feel like they're pouring into you, going out of their way to let you in the back door of a show. You might feel like they're doing all the things. At the end of the day, they just want to take your soul.
He's not gonna suck your soul out.
But not the...
You ain't even got to do that kind of stuff no more. We can just cuddle.
He said, all you got to do is love me and I will be
exactly.
normal. I'll be regular.
You ain't believe him?
You ain't a demon. And on top of that, it was the preying on her loneliness for me.
Exactly.
It was him preying on her loneliness, because normally when we're in those areas of loneliness, it feels like you really are all alone. Like, and the fact that that person came out of nowhere, we did not see that coming.
No. And everywhere she was,
he was there.
He popped up.
A monitoring spirit.
I was gonna say, hello, somebody.
And then when they was talking, it was that.
Okay, that was that demon energy. He was like entrapped in my world.
Demon time. Shekinah, you brought this up. Skin suits.
I thought that was very interesting, especially in the time that we are in right now. It's a lot of things being revealed. If you know, you know. Am I a conspiracy theorist? Yes. So I thought that was interesting, and the thing I love about Bootsy is he's going to always bring up the undertone of the thing you don't think. And for this one specifically, the skin suits, I felt like was very interesting, because even the people were like, oh, and we've been playing these roles. Like Candace Owens, I said, oh, now we naming names. We naming names too.
Audience, real quick, who do you think's wearing the skin suit? Just throw them out. Okay, I'm listening.
Okay.
Drake is definitely in a skin suit.
He's a woman in a skin suit.
Ooh.
Okay.
Cam Newton just got on a hat. It's not the suit. The hat has taken root. Neglected. Eclectic.
Any more? I want Taylor Swift.
Oh, I can see Taylor.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions for the panel? Because we all sat through the same movie. Is this something you want to ask them? Or is it something you want to talk about? Because that was a lot to chew on. Y'all are quiet. Okay, I'm going to hear first. Hold on.
Obviously, it seems that this is my first Bootsy film, so obviously I think that their artistic style in movie making is very unique, especially for the genre. So my question would be, how did y'all come across y'all's unique artistic style? And especially as Black individuals, how did y'all feel encouraged to just be that?
As I said in my intro, my style is apostolic renaissance. I was born and raised in the apostolic church. That's where my fashion was kind of birthed. My mom, lupus survivor since she was 17 years old. I seen she wanted to be stylish. She didn't have any clothes to wear. I said, I'm gonna make your clothes. And I've been making her clothes. And from there I started making my clothes. And I started by making skirts for ladies in the church out of tablecloths and out of thrifted fabric at thrift stores. And the church is where it all started. And I feel like there's an era of, like we were talking about, fashion is cyclical. We can still be classy. It's okay to be classy. It's okay to show skin and be classy. So that's kind of the aspect I bring to fashion, and that's where it was birthed for me.
Okay. I guess for me, I would like to say that I got my style probably from my father. He used to take me thrifting all the time. So for me, I would take the thrift clothes that we had and I would turn them into what I wanted them to be. And that's how I got into my creative bag, was literally taking the pieces that we got and turning them into pieces for myself. And I always told myself, it's not what you wear, it's how you wear it. So I'm big on that, and I will say I definitely got a couple whoopings from it, but it made me stronger and better. Thank you, Dad, and Mom too. No, but yeah, for sure.
For me, I would have to say that I was always drawn by historic referencing. So I love fashion through history. I love being able to take different things and fuse them together from only my perspective. And I've got this kind of avant-garde style that I just really enjoy, because I think it's the one opportunity that you get to be creatively boisterous with how you're presenting yourself in fashion. And so I just keep doing that, and anytime I lean further into that, I feel more like myself. So it gives me the credence to keep going after that.
Hello.
Hi.
It was very interesting how they decide to fight back about their talents being stolen. I know as a book writer, you have a copyright. Some other things, you have patents. What legal method do you have to protect yourself from your material being taken elsewhere?
It's so nominal. Like, they haven't even created the precedent to have a very much so bankable process for that, because really the best that you can do is create the design. Maybe you can still make a patent for it, but it has to be so specified that there's so much nuance that somebody could literally just change the fabrication of it. Just be like, oh, not the same thing, bud, sorry. It's I think we're finding our footing on that, especially with Shein and Temu, just taking designs blatantly. But really, it's the Wild Wild West when it comes to that in fashion regards right now. And yeah, I think it's tough.
Sure. I would say that's why a lot of small businesses fight so hard on social media when they do see their concept stolen, by these big corporations, but because they're so big, they think that, okay, at some point these people are gonna back down, and it's a uphill battle. Like it's ongoing, and this has been throughout the channels of time. So.
And I guess to add to that too, like it's truly more so on the backs of public opinion. So you'll see a lot of designers take to Instagram being like, this brand stole from me on this date. And unless you get enough anger about it, there will not be any change. But we're seeing that. So hopefully if we have this same question pitched in 5 years, maybe there will be a difference.
Acceleration. Okay, we got one more question.
That's actually what my question is about. We don't have a machine, obviously, to accelerate, but I know how you were saying, like, slowly but surely people are getting more and more angry, but I feel like they're angry on social media and we don't have a machine. So, like, what ways do you feel as creatives are we able to bring people together to fight for the things that we need?
I feel like it's doing more high-level events to express those grievances and having people in those spaces that have influence and that can not only listen to us, but help us also figure out how to carry those feelings and anger into a way that, whether it's bring about a change of law or implementing new systems in areas for us to innovate, because we don't have a machine. So it would definitely be something like more atmospheres like this where we're able to talk about it and not just take to social media, but actually come in a room, come together with more people, more influence, and figure that out as a unit.
Okay.
It takes a village.
With our time coming to the end, I want to ask just one more question. Since we're talking about accelerating, and since sandblasting was a catalyst for these people to repel, what are some other things in fashion that we should be looking out for that are quite literally killing us? Labels on tags, materials, what can we do to protect ourselves? Real quick.
Toxicity in synthetic fabrics and how they're creating them are really bad.
Name names.
Oh my God, like we still got polyester in the game. That is tragic, you know what I'm saying? We can go down the list too.
Polyester is like the biggest.
Yeah, polyester is the biggest corporate, and not only that, but I think that because like everything is advancing, they're learning how to incorporate polyester in natural fabrics like cotton and like rayon too?
Yeah.
Rayon and what else we got? I will say it's definitely the fabrics. A lot of fast fashion, the materials that they use are poisonous, as well as the chemicals that go into the fabrics. I know y'all are receiving your packages and you got that weird scent on your clothing.
Plastic bags.
Oh my goodness, those plastic bags.
The plastic is bad too.
It's terrible. And imagine all the clothes sitting in the plastic, heating up as it's being sent to you.
And then not only that, but as y'all could see, the work conditions of the people that are putting the pieces together, because I'm not sure, don't fact check me, but I remember at a time during COVID, there were a couple complaints about people that were shopping from Shein saying that there were tags, and the tags were having hidden messages for workers in the labels, because they're trying to get it out there that, hey, like, these work conditions aren't it, and we are technically not even getting paid, because over there they're getting paid pennies on dollars for the work that they're doing, if that, and if they're even able to leave to go home.
Okay, well that concludes our talk back. Make some noise. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Appreciate you, my name is Jamie Wesley. Please be sure to come down here, talk to all these wonderful panelists, get their information, see what they're going to be next. Invest in them, invest in yourselves, and I'm gonna hand it over to my brother Dia.
Give it up for the panelists and Dammit Wesley. Could you tell everyone where they could find you at or follow you?
I'm at That Will White on all social media and www.thatwillwhite.com.
I am the Kinah Kreative, the Kinah and Kreative with a K.
Jamie Lykes II, JamielLykesii.
And just a few quick plugs. June 5th, we'll be screening Bamboozle with the Talkback. If you've never seen that film, I think it's Spike Lee's best film. Well, no, I would say Malcolm X, then Bamboozle for sure, but come out if you can. Then June 19th, for our Juneteenth screening is Summer of Soul, Questlove's documentary. There'll be a talkback for that as well. And then on June 27th, Dammit will be back with us for Death by Temptation. If you've never seen that in theaters, it's well worth taking the time. But thank you for coming out. Drive safely. Thank you.